forum. A community in Colorado remembers the victims of the recent mass shooting. And in sports, the Ohio volleyball team's MAC tournament hopes hung in the balance on senior night. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening. I'm Sam Wiesmith, and welcome to Newswatch. A former Pike County sheriff will serve 3 years in prison after pleading guilty to theft in office, among other charges. The Columbus Dispatch reports Charles Reeder asked for mercy before sentencing today in Pike County. The judge denied his request for community service and said he failed his profession and community. Reeder was originally charged on 18 total counts but pleaded guilty to just 4 felony counts in September. He rose to prominence during the investigation of the execution-style slaying of 8 Roden family members in 2016. GOP lawmakers have made good on their promise to check the authority of fellow Republican Mike DeWine by issuing the first override of his term. The override comes after a year-long battle over how the state should respond during a health emergency. The Republican-controlled House and Senate voted today after short debates in each chamber to reject DeWine's veto of legislation restricting the state's ability to make emergency health orders. Lima Republican and Senate President Matt Huffman says legislation simply gives lawmakers the power to review orders. DeWine says the bill would hamper a governor's ability to respond to a crisis. It's likely the law could be challenged in court. Athens City Council 4th Ward incumbent Chris Fall is running contested for the first time during her 3 terms. The League of Women Voters hosted a virtual forum for her and her challenger, Alan Swank, yesterday to discuss why they're running. Fall wants to provide more opportunities for the community to be involved with City Council.
Making those very accessible, and we do have a good cross-section of people in those positions, and working with the students. And I've had a work-study student working for me for the last 2 years, and it's really interesting because he's a conduit to a lot of what goes on campus, and that's also important.
Swank would like to see the City Council more in the public eye, making a commitment to be accessible to his constituents.
How do we know what people want? We can't count on them coming to us. We need to go to them. And I plan to do the following: to have quarterly town halls, monthly meet and greets, meet and listen at the library and community center. I plan to attend neighborhood association meetings, using social media, reach a lot of people. And right now I'm currently conducting a series of street halls via Zoom.
The candidates hope voters will research their platforms before the May primary. And now on to Alyssa Lanier with weather.
Hi, I'm forecaster Alyssa Lanier from the Newswatch Weather Center. Right now in Athens, it is clear skies, as you can see from this map. The clouds will be moving out to bring clear skies throughout the evening, and then tomorrow these clouds will push in through our area, bringing cloudy skies. Right now in Athens, it is 73 degrees, and again, it is clear skies, so a very beautiful day altogether. The pressure is about 30 inches and the humidity is 36%, so it's not too humid outside. So again, it has been a very beautiful day across Athens. The winds are from the south-southwest at 13 miles an hour. Across the region right now, it is 73 in Athens, 75 down in Ripley, and 75 in Ironton, which are hot spots of the area, 73 in Jackson, 73 in Chillicothe, 72 in Columbus, 72 in Newark, all under partly cloudy to sunny skies. Looking at your headlines for the next few days, there will be warm temperatures and spring-like weather. And will there be thunderstorms? Back to you, Sam.
Thanks, Alyssa. The body of a boy reported missing last September has been found. The father of the boy in a state of grieving. Cassie Arsenault has the harrowing details from Cincinnati.
Dominic Allen's body was found in the second-story apartment right behind me. He was originally reported missing back in September, but the whole time his body was hidden under dirty clothes in that apartment, as his mother and her husband are accused of concealing his body as it decomposed. A long and painful 7 months for Marcus Allen, marked by the confirmation that no parent wants to receive.
He was supposed to bury me, not the other way around.
This nightmare began in September when his son, Dominique Allen, was reported missing. Dominique's mother, Kenya Stallworth, who he lived with, claimed she didn't know where he was.
And I kept saying, they did something to my child. They did something to my child. I kept saying it because I just felt it.
In December, the story began to unravel. Kenya Stallworth's husband, Robert Robb, called 911 to report a body in their apartment. Both Stallworth and Robb were arrested shortly after. And 3 months later, that body is confirmed to be Dominique. Court documents reveal the pair concealed a body in the Westwood home for several months, piling dirty clothes on top of it and sealing the bedroom, trying to get rid of the odor from the decaying corpse. A father once proud to see his son graduate from West High, knowing the whole world was right in front of him, now left with heartbreak as he imagines what his son endured in an unspeakable death.
I want justice. Not phony justice. I want justice. I want them to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. They took my son from me.
Allen tells us that police told him there were signs of torture inside the apartment. And at this time, the cause of death has not been determined. In Westwood, Cassie Arsenal, Local 12 News.
The couple was charged with felony abuse of a corpse and tampering with evidence after the body was found. Both remain jailed. A Huntington man has been arrested after police say he went to the Milton Police Department to pick up his wallet, which had drugs inside. When the 24-year-old Jacob Peck arrived to pick up his wallet, a police canine indicated there were drugs in his truck. After searching the vehicle, police confiscated crystal meth and heroin laced with fentanyl. Peck is charged with having drugs with the intent of selling them and obstructing an officer. He is in the Western Regional Jail on a $50,000 bond. Boulder, Colorado community members mourn after a grocery store shooting, and a West Virginia senator is opposed to new gun control legislation. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
The Dead Sea, a wonder of the world.
The Dead Sea is very special. It's a treasure.
But now, it's vanishing.
What happened is a man-made disaster.
In a region desperately short of water.
Access to water is a fundamental basic human right.
Can scientists engineer a solution before it's too late?
Our water resources are drying up. We need water.
Saving the Dead Sea on Nova.
We asked families from around the country to think about what it means to get older and took them on an immersive journey 30 years into their futures to see what life might be like.
It's like stepping into a different world.
Everything looks really foggy. You got me with the aging makeup.
Well, that's a trip.
All of them considered. If they knew now what they'll know then, would they change anything?
I'm still there. I'm still going to be Susan.
Next time, the estimate has skyrocketed for one of these treasures. Do you know which one?
Oh, really? In 10 sentences, you've told me more than I've ever known about this.
Oh, that's terrific.
Holy cow!
Well, it's a terrific thing to find. You're very lucky.
Wow. Okay, that's great.
Find out which value shot up next time on Antiques Roadshow, Vintage Louisville, Hour 2.
This is considered the most dangerous animal in Africa. But there's more to hippos than their cranky demeanor. They are land beasts that spend most of their time in water. They weigh around 2 tons, but can sprint faster than a human. And they are protective parents. Go beneath the surface and meet Africa's river giants.
Ohioans ages 16 and older are now able to get their COVID-19 vaccine, but only if a provider is unable to fill current appointments with Phase 2C patients. Monday starts Phase 2D, where Ohioans 16 and older will be eligible. The Athens County Health Commissioner says the vaccine clinic has the capacity for 1,400 doses a day, but right now they're only getting about 600 doses.
Wow, you can get tested now really quite easily for the disease. And early on, we haven't had very much vaccine. but weekly we've been getting more. And I anticipate by a month from now, we'll be in much better shape with vaccine. We'll have more quantities of vaccine.
With vaccines increasing, Ohio nursing home visitors are allowed some new benefits while visiting loved ones. Governor Mike DeWine announced a new order that allows hugging between vaccinated people, visitors in residence rooms, and says visits must be a minimum of 30 minutes. Visitors must be screened for COVID-19 and follow strict measures. The state requires vaccinated staff to be tested once per week and unvaccinated staff to be tested twice per week. The newly recalculated death totals show roughly 38% of all COVID deaths in Ohio were in nursing homes. In efforts to be more accessible, the Wayne County, West Virginia Health Department held a drive-through COVID-19 vaccine clinic today. Another one will be on Friday, March 26th from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. It's for anyone 65 years of age and older that has not gotten a vaccine yet. No appointments are necessary. West Virginia Governor Jim Justice signed a bill that protects employers, healthcare providers, and others from being sued due to the coronavirus pandemic, even if public health guidelines were ignored. Suits could be filed if there is evidence of a person or entity acted with intent to hurt, kill, or cause other damage. Justice proposed the legislation, and some Democrats argued that the bill's protections are too broad. The state Senate passed the bill on February 19th, and the House concurred on March 10th. In the wake of the massacre at Boulder, Colorado supermarket on Monday, a community is coming together to mourn the 10 lives lost. The suspected shooter is facing murder charges and is expected to appear in court tomorrow. As authorities begin their investigations, there are renewed calls for action on guns. From Colorado to Washington, Daryl Forges is in Boulder with the latest.
Suzanne Fountain.
She just would light up the room, and she was a bright light.
Trelana Bartkowiak.
Honestly, she was the most amazing person I've ever met in my life.
Ricky Olds.
She had dreams. She had ambitions. She was one of a kind.
A portrait painted by friends and families of some of the 10 people killed in a senseless act of violence that has devastated a community.
There's a hole in our family that won't be filled.
An investigation is underway into Monday's mass shooting at King Soopers in Boulder, Colorado.
This is going to take time, and we're going to see justice prevail.
The suspect, Ahmad Alyssa, is set to make his first court appearance Thursday as questions mount over the motive.
I just don't know why he would choose this way to get his point across.
Renewed calls for action on guns are resonating from Colorado.
We have mass shooting after mass shooting, and Congress has failed to act.
To Washington, the Biden administration echoing the call.
If we really want something that is going to be lasting, we need to pass legislation.
While many Republicans argue stricter gun laws are not the solution.
With regard to the gun legislation over in the House, I don't think it would address this issue.
The mayor of Boulder says an assault weapons ban may have made a difference in his city.
I can say this, it wouldn't have hurt, and probably would have helped.
A city now home to growing memorials for the 10 community members lost to gun violence.
Amidst 2 mass shootings in the past 2 weeks, the House of Representatives has passed 2 gun safety bills this month. But Democratic Senator Joe Manchin doesn't see eye to eye with them. The centrist from West Virginia favors the less restrictive Manchin-Toomey compromise bill. He and Republican Senator Pat Toomey created it in the aftermath of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. That bill didn't pass in 2013. Manchin's stand shines a light on the division within the Democratic Party on the gun issue, which is again front and center following the fatal rampages in Atlanta and Denver. Over the past week, the House bills that recently passed would have stronger background checks compared to Manchin-Toomey. Democratic leaders say they will deliver on gun legislation on Tuesday. President Joe Biden gave his strongest push for gun control since entering the White House. Children are suffering as a result of heightened screen time during the pandemic. How to help your child still ahead.
Today was a great day for getting some fresh air, but will there be storms in our future? I'll talk about that in my full forecast, but first, here's a look at stocks of local interest.
On American Experience, the shocking incident that made national headlines.
He was a survivor of Southern racial violence and live to tell the story.
No one can say that what happened to Isaac Woodard was justified.
And changed the course of American history.
Who would have guessed that this would be the beginning of the end of Jim Crow in America?
The Blinding of Isaac Woodard on American Experience.
Delight in how the legendary Twyla Tharp transformed American dance, modern and ballet, Hollywood and Broadway, as both performer and choreographer across 6 decades.
Wow.
Even as she creates a new dance on Zoom.
Great, we can work around the clock. I dance, and then a dance will evolve if the idea is good enough.
Meet the dynamic Twyla Tharp when Twyla moves.
Just get out there and do it.
On American Masters.
Next time, the estimate has skyrocketed for one of these treasures. Do you know which one?
Oh, really? In 10 sentences, you've told me more than I've ever known about this.
Oh, that's terrific.
Holy cow!
It's a terrific thing to find. You're very lucky.
Wow. Okay, that's great.
Find out which value shot up next time on Antiques Roadshow, Vintage Louisville, Hour 2.
The Dead Sea, a wonder of the world.
The Dead Sea is very special. It's a treasure.
But now, it's vanishing.
What happened is a man-made disaster.
In a region desperately short of water.
Access to water is a fundamental basic human right.
Can scientists engineer a solution before it's too late?
Our water resources are drying up. We need water.
Saving the Dead Sea on Nova.
Welcome back. I'm forecaster Alyssa Lanier. Right now in Athens, it is 73 degrees. In Ripley, it is 75. 73 in Marietta, 73 in New Martinsville, 72 in Cambridge, all under sunny skies. So it's been a very beautiful day across the region. Tonight, hour by hour, there will be a gradual cool down, 67 at 8 p.m., 62 at 10 p.m., 59 at midnight. So there will be slight cooling, clear skies, and it will be a nice, pleasant evening. Tonight in Athens, the low will be 52 degrees, and it will become partly cloudy later on in the evening, but it will be clear for the majority of the evening. Overall, it'll be a very nice night. The winds will be from the southwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Across the region, the lows will be 52 in Athens, 48 in Jackson, 46 in Chillicothe, 48 in Columbus, 48 in Newark, 46 in Cambridge, all under mostly clear to partly cloudy skies. Hour by hour tomorrow morning, it will be a great start to put your kids on the bus. At 8 a.m. it'll be 51 degrees. It will warm up pretty quickly to 61 degrees at 10 a.m. and then at 12 p.m. it'll be 66 degrees. The high tomorrow will be 71 degrees, and then there will be a chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon, and as those start to roll in, there will be cooling in the evening. And the winds will be from the southeast at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Across the region, the highs will be 66 in Columbus, 72 in Newark, 72 in Lexington, 71 in Athens, and it will be rainy across the region. We are under a high wind effect in some of the regions across the area, including Ross County, Pickaway County, Franklin County, and then all the way up to Carroll County and then down to Monroe County. So this means that there could be fallen power lines and fallen trees. So if you have to drive, be careful when you go anywhere, or it could affect your route if you have to go places. The jet stream tomorrow, we will be in this region of a shortwave trough, and at the surface there is this low pressure system that will rapidly develop as it approaches our area due to temperature advection, and the cold front that passes through our area tomorrow will be passed through by Friday, and that is what is bringing our chance of thunderstorms due to CAPE, which basically just means fuel for the storms. CAPE is convective available potential energy, and then also because of wind shear that will fuel our storm tomorrow as we go throughout our week. On Friday, it will be sunny again as that cold front passes through. It will be 61 degrees on Friday. On Saturday, it will be 71 degrees at 50% of a chance of rain in the evening. And then on Sunday, it will be 61 degrees. Back to you, Sam.
Thanks, Alyssa. And speaking of weather, this week is Ohio's Severe Weather Awareness Week. Today was the first statewide tornado siren test, taking place at 9:50 a.m. But if your neighborhood was silent, don't worry. Athens decided not to participate and ran a radio alert instead. The Ohio Committee for Severe Weather Awareness encourages businesses, schools, and households to practice tornado drills and emergency plans. And to remember to duck, go to the lowest level, get under something, and cover the head, keeping sheltered until the storm has passed. Throughout the pandemic, many children have spent more time on devices, either through virtual school, social activities, or while their parents are working. But that increased screen time also increases risk for cyberbullying. You can spot signs to help your child in today's Health Minute.
From virtual learning to social media, children and teens are surrounded by technology, especially during the pandemic, and it's not always a good thing.
There's no escape from cyberbullying because it follows you home, because your technology follows you home.
Angie Boy with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta's Stephanie V. Blank Center for Safe and Healthy Children says cyberbullying is using any electronic means to intimidate, harass, threaten, or demean a person.
Children have higher levels of anxiety, higher levels of depression as a result of dealing with cyberbullying, which can then have an impact on their behaviors as they continue to age.
There are cyberbullying signs to spot. Your child may not be using their device as much or don't go to the same apps. They may try to hide the screen when an adult is around or avoid social situations with certain friend groups.
Those are red flags that you want to follow up on with your child.
Boy says to set technology rules for how long and when they're allowed to be on, and the biggest advice she can give:
have open conversations with your child. You want to know where they're going online, who are they talking to, what apps are they using. You want to have their usernames and passwords and make sure that you're checking in on them pretty routinely.
For Health Minute, I'm Andy Gaither.
Parents should also stay up to date on the latest technology, how to use it, and what apps kids are using so you know what your child is up to online. Now on to Joe Collins with sports.
Hello, I'm Joe Collins for sports. Coming up, Ohio men's basketball had 2 games in the NCAA tournament, and the Ohio volleyball team celebrated senior night. Stay tuned to Newswatch to find out how that went.
On American Experience, the shocking incident that made national headlines.
He was a survivor of Southern racial violence and lived to tell the story.
No one can say that what happened to Isaac Woodard was justified.
And changed the course of American history.
Who would have guessed that this would be the beginning of the end of Jim Crow in America?
The blinding of Isaac Woodard on American Experience.
We asked families from around the country to think about what it means to get older and took them on an immersive journey 30 years into their futures to see what life might be like.
It's like stepping into a different world.
Everything looks really foggy. You got me with the aging makeup.
Well, that's a trip.
All of them considered. If they knew now what they'll know then, would they change anything?
I'm still there. I'm still gonna be Susan.
This month in Passport on the PBS Video app, your on-demand library for the best of PBS.
If I'm to make a name for myself, I need as much experience as possible.
Being a detective is a job for a man.
And yet you do it every day, William.
What we experienced is apocalyptic.
We're learning the lessons to not go through that again.
I'm Gustavo Dudamel. Join me in concert at the Hollywood Bowl.
These and other shows are available with Passport on the PBS Video app. Download it today.
Delight in how the legendary Twyla Tharp transformed American dance, modern and ballet, Hollywood and Broadway, as both performer and choreographer across 6 decades.
Wow.
Even as she creates a new dance on Zoom.
Great, we can work around the clock. I dance, and then a dance will evolve if the idea is good enough.
Meet the dynamic Twyla Tharp when Twyla moves.
Just get out there and do it.
On American Masters.
Welcome back, I'm Joe Collins. For the first time since 2012, the Ohio men's basketball team was back in March Madness as they took on the defending national champions, the Virginia Cavaliers. And the 9-year wait was worth it for Bobcats fans as Ohio dethroned the defending champs by a final score of 62-58. After being down 38-31 with 13 minutes left, Ohio would outscore the Cavaliers 31-20 the rest of the game. A couple of big moments during that span were Ben Vanderplas hitting 2 3-pointers in a row to give the Bobcats their first lead since it was 3-0, and London McDay hitting 2 clutch free throws with 5 seconds left to seal the deal for the Bobcats. Jason Preston made history as the first player since 1998 to have 13 rebounds and 8 assists in an NCAA tournament game. Virginia just becomes the 4th national champion to be knocked out in the first round after winning the national championship the season prior. After upsetting the Cavaliers, the Bobcats moved on to the round of 32, where they took on the 5th-seeded Creighton Blue Jays. The Bobcat season, however, would come to an end at the hands of Creighton 72-58. A 20-4 run by the Blue Jays to end the first half put them up 39-24 at the break. During that span, Ohio shot just 1 of 14 from the field, while Marcus Zagorowski knocked down 2 important threes for the Blue Jays. The Bobcats shot much better in the second half, but Creighton always seemed to have an answer. Jason Preston was being trapped all night by the Creighton defenders, resulting in him only having 4 points. Ohio would get within 9 points, but too many turnovers in transition and solid defense by Creighton allowed them to hold on for the 14-point victory and move on to play the Gonzaga Bulldogs in the Sweet 16. The Bobcat season may be over, but when you think about everything that has happened to Ohio this year, it's remarkable to think about where they ended up. After having 2 COVID-19 outbreaks, the Bobcats played just 3 games in 35 days before going to the MAC tournament. As a 5 seed in the tournament, they knocked off Kent State, top-seeded Toledo, and Buffalo, winning each game by an average of 15 points. And after advancing to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2012, they made headlines by upsetting Virginia, who was the last national champion going into this tournament. Now moving on to a different sport, the Ohio volleyball team had their senior night Tuesday at the Convocation Center against Kent State. Every senior was honored before the match, including Vera Giacomazzi, who was emotional as her video was played on the video board. Giacomazzi had another performance to add to her already impressive resume as she recorded a double-double with 47 assists and 10 digs in what was her final match at the Convo. Other Bobcats who stood out were Mariana Rodriguez, who was once again a force to be reckoned with in the kills category as she led all players with 18. Tia Jimerson was right behind her with 16. The Bobcats knock off the Golden Flashes in 4 sets, capping off their senior night with a win as they move to 10-7 on the season. That's all the time we have for sports. I'm Joe Collins. Back to you, Sam.
Thanks, Joe. Here's a conservation success story for you. The American bald eagle population has more than quadrupled in the last 10 years. Scientists from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife's Migratory Bird Program estimate the population climbed to more than 316,000, with more than 71,000 nesting pairs. Just a decade ago, there were only 72,000 individuals with 30,000 breeding pairs. The Interior Department contributes the success to conservation efforts and wildlife protection laws. Bald eagles are no longer considered an endangered species, but they are still protected under federal laws.
Tomorrow in Athens, the high will be 71 degrees and it will be rainy tomorrow starting in the early afternoon. There will be cooling throughout the evening and then there's a chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon as a cold front passes through. The winds will be from the southeast at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Across the region, it will be 68 in Columbus, 71 in Athens, all under rainy skies. There is a high wind damage watch across the region, and then looking at the week ahead, it will be 71 degrees on Thursday, 61 on Friday, and it will become sunny again. Back to you, Sam.
Thanks, Alyssa. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Sam Wiesneth. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at woub.org. Have a great night.
Good evening. I'm Judy Woodruff on the NewsHour.